I'm Paul, half of Dads and Dice, and for today's video, we're doing something just a little bit different. A couple weeks ago was my birthday, and in order to celebrate, I just wanted to have a weekend of playing nothing but board games with my friends and family. I invited Devin and his wife to come over, Joe and Shelby from Board Games for Two, and my wife. Now, unfortunately, Shelby was feeling under the weather, so she wasn't able to make it, but everybody else was able to come, and we played a ton of games. Throughout the weekend, I took a bunch of pictures and videos, and I basically just created this montage video, which I'm still currently editing right now. And I also threw in some overlay on the back just to kind of say what game it was and just kind of give a brief overview of it. Like I said, this video is a little bit different than the stuff that we've done in the past, but I do think this is something that I might try to do a little bit more often. Anyway, if there's anything that you see or anything that you want to see more of, drop a comment below. Let us know your thoughts. Without further ado, let's get into the video. The first game of the weekend was Distilled. Joe was able to come down early before everybody, so Joe and I got a playthrough of this super thematic game. A little bit later, Devin arrived, and it was time for us to play a 4-player game that we all knew and that we all enjoy, and that's The Search for Planet X. This is a deduction game in which you're trying to find Planet X, but there's certain location requirements based on the comets and the asteroids and all those things, and it's really one of the best deduction games out there. Next up, we had Nanny Narkin. Now, this is a game that Devin and I have wanted to try for a while. We haven't been able to because you need at least 3 players. This is an asymmetric hidden role game where each leader has a different win condition, and the production of it was fantastic. We ended the night with It's a Wonderful World. We needed a game that was pretty quick to play and pretty easy to teach, and this is an engine builder that plays in under an hour, in which every turn really feels like it counts. This was a great end to day 1 of my birthday weekend. On Saturday, we had actually rented out a room at D20 Tavern, which is one of our local board game bars. Joe, Devin, and I wanted to play a bit of a heavier game before we went there, so we decided on Wayfarers of the South Tigris. This game is one of Devin and I's favorites, and we wanted Joe to be able to experience it.
Some period of time, and we are explorers, or wayfarers, making maps, exploring from Baghdad.
Once the game finished, we were actually running a bit late, so we had to rush down to D20 Tavern. Once we got there, we got checked in, and we got to check out all the games that they have available. Their shelf consists of over 350 different games, and that's stuff from new Kickstarters to old classics. So like I mentioned, we actually did rent out a private room, and that's down here in their basement. Down in this basement, they do different events. They have Blood on the Clock Tower in these bigger rooms, but we actually got this smaller room back in the back. Now this is a game that Kirsten and I have played before, and Devin and Joe haven't, and I wanted them to experience it.
Spending a turn doing income.
This game looks intimidating just by the size of the box and all of the components, but honestly, it's just a super overproduced tile placement game. This is one that if you have the chance to, I highly recommend you playing it. After Foundations of Rome, Devin talked us into playing another heavier game, so he started getting that set up. The game that he picked was Takenu, Obelisk of the Sun, and this is a T game published by Board and Dice. Now, maybe this game wasn't the best one to play at this moment. It was a fun one. It was a bit heavier than what we had expected, but what was really cool about it was the obelisk and the mechanic of it turning and changing the level of those dice.
There's a chart here, but as this thing moves along, it changes what the dice are.
After Takenu, we needed a little bit of a palate cleanser, and as we were going, oh, I got caught recording, but we went with a game that we all know, and that is Azul. After Azul, Joe had actually left. During this time, Lacey was about to show up, so we played Cryptid, and this is a 3-player deduction game. We don't get to table this one very often because you need at least 3 players, but it's a fun game. After Cryptid, Lacey ended up showing up and we played a game of Rival Restaurants. This was a new one to all of us. It's a real-time bidding game, which isn't something that we normally go for, but we had a ton of fun with it. And then to end the night, we ended up playing Founders of Teotihuacan. This was a game that Devin and I chose to play because we really enjoyed Teotihuacan, but we needed something a little bit lighter. Founders of Teotihuacan is a fun game, but honestly didn't really remind us too much of Teotihuacan, so I feel like they could have really put any other theme on this one and been just as good as a game. It had some really cool mechanics to it. It's not one that I'm going to search out, but if it's set up, I'll go ahead and play it. Overall, this was a good gaming weekend. We ended up playing 11 games total, and we just had a ton of fun with our friends. If you've watched this far, we thank you. Please, as always, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. All that stuff really does help our channel grow. Until next time.